Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
For the first time, we have a sequel to a top 10 list. There's just too many great postseason Yankees performances for one list, and there were a lot of great comments from people who made me second guess some of my choices. So here it is, Top 10 Postseason Performances Part 2. Again, sometimes this will be just one game, and sometimes it'll be someone's entire body of work. Number 10, Thurman Munson. There was a great comment from user Ryan Tuhey, so I'll just read it. Thurman hit a combined .373 in the World Series, including an outrageous .529 in the '76 Fall Classic. He never hit below .320 in the World Series and had an on-base percentage of .417 while slugging .493. Reggie may have been Mr. October, but Munson was Mr. Consistent. Amen to that. Number 9, Andy Pettitte. I promise I didn't ignore him in my previous list. I just think of him as more consistent than dominant, but we're going to go with his body of work here. He won 18 games for the Yankees in the postseason and one with Houston, but I like to forget those Houston years ever happened. His best game was probably the Game 5 win in the '96 World Series when he outdueled John Smoltz in a game that Smoltz went on to call the best game he ever pitched. He also won the 2001 ALCS MVP, beating the 116-win Mariners twice in the same series.
I thank everybody for making this night necessary.
Number 8 is Bobby Richardson in the 1960 World Series. This one is a submission from user Clifford7. Bobby Richardson's 1960 World Series numbers are fantastic. 7-game series, he went 11 for 30 with 2 doubles, 2 triples, a grand slam, and 12 total RBI. Number 7 is Greg Nettles. Nettles was a defensive wizard in the 1978 World Series. They call third base the hot corner for a reason. The ball gets on you quick, but fortunately for the Yankees, Nettles had the reflexes of a cat. Don't undervalue how much energy a great defensive player can bring to a team. Yankees went on to repeat.
Manager for the Yankees.
Number 6 is Aaron Boone in 2003. He actually didn't have a great ALCS versus Boston that year. He was just 3 for 21 in the series. But sometimes one swing can change everything, and a late at-bat in Game 7 changed his entire life. Without that swing, he probably doesn't become Yankees manager, and he's kind of just a forgotten trade acquisition at the 2003 deadline. Number 5 is David Wells in the 1998 ALCS. Wells was money in the bank for most of 1998. He won 18 games. He finished second in the Cy Young voting, threw a perfect game, and came up big in the ALCS versus the Indians, going 2-0 with a 2.87 ERA en route to becoming ALCS MVP. He was traded the following spring for Roger Clemens, but he did return to the Yankees a few years later. Number 4 is El Duque. He was the epitome of clutch. He began his postseason career in 1998, picking up a win in ALCS Game 4 with 7 shutout innings, and then he threw 7 more innings of one-run ball in the World Series against the Padres. He began his Yankees postseason career 8-0 and was the MVP of the 1999 ALCS against the Red Sox, allowing just 3 runs in 15 innings. He was as clutch as it gets.
The most famous baseball player of all time, Babe Ruth.
Number 3 is of recent vintage, Gerrit Cole in Game 1 of the 2020 Wild Card round. It was his first postseason game as a Yankee, and there was a ton of pressure because he was facing off against Shane Bieber, who was one of the best pitchers in baseball and was expected to toss a gem. It ended up being a one-sided game with Gerrit Cole striking out 13 batters over 7 innings, while Shane Bieber got shelled for 7 runs. Number 2 is Lou Gehrig in the 1928 World Series. As I mentioned in Part 1, Babe Ruth had a fantastic series in '28, but as noted by user Pinstripe Dynasty, GEHRIG also had a monster series. He batted .545 with 4 home runs and 9 ribbies and didn't strike out once. He also hit .529 with 3 home runs in the 32 World Series. Absolute monster.
If you don't like it, you're fired. You haven't hired me yet.
And number 1, GIANCARLO Stanton. We're just going to go with his collective works as a Yankee in the postseason here. As of 2021, he's played in 18 playoff games with the Yankees. He's only had 64 at-bats in the playoffs, but he's already got 9 home runs. That means he's averaging a homer every 7 at-bats in the postseason. That's about a 70 home run pace over a full season. No one can say this man is not clutch. Honorable mention, Whitey Ford, who once threw 33 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings across multiple World Series. Honorable mention, Didi Gregorius, who carried the Yankees through the first 2 rounds in 2017. I don't think the Yankees reached the ALCS without the performance of Didi Gregorius. Who should be in part 3? Let me know in the comments and I'll get started. Help NYY Recaps become a bigger and more permanent part of the Yankees universe by becoming a member. You'll receive members-only content, including behind-the-scenes videos and members-only watch parties. Follow me on social media at NYY Recaps Derek on Twitter and _Streamski on Instagram.